Welcome to our video series on offshore contracts management. In this first video, we will provide an overview of the legal framework that governs offshore contracts. Offshore contracts are complex legal documents that are governed by a range of international laws, national regulations, and industry standards. Understanding this legal framework is essential for anyone involved in offshore contracts management. When it comes to offshore contracts, it's important to note that there are a variety of laws and conventions at play at the international level. These include the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea and the International Maritime Organization's International Safety Management Code. The United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea is an important legal framework that governs activities in the world's oceans and seas. This includes everything from maritime boundaries and navigation to environmental protection and conservation of marine life. It also establishes rules for the exploitation of resources in offshore areas, including oil and gas. The International Maritime Organization's International Safety Management Code is another key international convention that applies to offshore contracts. This code sets out guidelines for the safe and efficient operation of ships and offshore facilities, with the goal of reducing the risks of accidents, pollution, and other incidents. Overall, it's essential for companies involved in offshore contracts to be aware of these laws and conventions, as failure to comply can result in legal and financial consequences. By adhering to these regulations, companies can help ensure safe and responsible practices in the offshore industry. At the national level, offshore contracts are subject to regulations that vary depending on the jurisdiction. It's important to be aware of the specific regulations that apply to your contract, and to ensure that your contract complies with these regulations. Along with laws and regulations, offshore contracts are also subject to industry standards that help ensure safety, efficiency, and quality. One important example is the American Petroleum Institute's API recommended practice for planning, designing, and constructing fixed offshore platforms. This API standard provides detailed guidelines for the design, construction, and operation of offshore platforms used for oil and gas exploration and production. It covers everything from site selection and foundation design to safety equipment and environmental protection measures. Following this standard can help offshore companies avoid costly mistakes and minimize risks, as it incorporates best practices developed over decades of experience in the industry. It also provides a common language and framework for communication among different parties involved in offshore projects, such as engineers, contractors, and regulators. Overall, adherence to industry standards like the API's recommended practice can help ensure that offshore contracts are executed in a safe, efficient, and responsible manner. Understanding and complying with these industry standards is important for ensuring the safety and efficiency of offshore operations. In summary, offshore contracts are subject to a complex legal framework that includes international laws, national regulations, and industry standards. Understanding this framework is essential for anyone involved in offshore contracts management. Join us in our next video, where we will explore effective negotiation techniques for offshore contracts.